Hi, this is Rob Polenic of Brutal Iron Gym. Justine recently asked how to better develop mind-muscle connection when performing lat pull-downs. The two main tips that we can use is to use extended isometrics. So we want to get to a full contraction and then hold that contraction for an elongated period of time. And then we can also use slow tempo, and we can vary how we utilize that technique as well. When wanting to develop mind-muscle connection, the best place to start is actually with our technique. When performing lat pull-downs, we want to make sure that on the way up, we allow our shoulders to raise towards our ears. That actually allows our lat muscles, our latissimus dorsi, to extend and stretch. And then when we come down with the movement, when we want to contract the lats, we want to think of pulling our shoulders down away from the ears. The more up and down vertical movement we get from the shoulders, the more our lats are going to be involved and engaged in the movement. If you film yourself, you can see how well you're doing with your shoulder movement. One thing I think of when performing lat pull downs is to think of allowing my shoulders to raise fully towards my ears before my arms fully extend. That ensures that I'm getting a full stretch in my lats, but I'm not overcompensating by pulling through my arms. Another technique aspect that we want to look at is our body position in regards to leaning too far back or staying upright when performing the movement. Ideally, we would like to lean back enough that the handle doesn't hit us in the face, but that's as far back as we'd like to go. If we excessively lean back, we start to recruit other muscles. If we stay more upright, it allows us to better isolate our lats. Another technique you can use is to pick a specific point that you want to pull the handle or attachment down to at the bottom of the movement. You can adjust your hand width to create more comfort in your shoulder joint. You can aim to pull the handle down towards your chest, or if it's more comfortable, you can pause it at your chin. So the first technique that I mentioned at the beginning of the video was to perform isometric holds. An isometric contraction is when we contract our muscles against a resistance, but we don't create any movement. When we think about the portions of a repetition, there is the contraction phase, the concentric. That is when the working muscle is contracting or shortening against a weight load. Then we have the full contraction, which if we create a pause in the full contraction, that would be considered an isometric contraction. Again, our muscles are contracting against the resistance, but they're not allowing any movement. Then the third portion is the eccentric. That's when our working muscles are extending under the weight load. A good way for us to better feel what muscles have contracted and moved the weight is to add an extended isometric contraction. When we do this with lat pull downs, it allows us to pause at the bottom, and we can feel whether that contraction feels like it's coming from our back or whether it's coming from our arms. What we want to focus on is when we come to the bottom and we contract and hold the handle in place. Performing the isometric contraction, we want to think of squeezing our shoulder blades together to ensure that our back is actually holding the weight. The other technique I mentioned is a form of controlling and modifying our tempo. I often refer to it as slow and go. We want to perform a normal speed concentric. You can hesitate or pause a little bit at the full contraction if you'd like. And then we want to slowly extend the working muscle back to the top. You can aim for various time frames of eccentrics, but one that I commonly like to use is a 5-count eccentric for a few reps, then a 3-count eccentric for a few reps, and then a normal speed eccentric for a few reps. I'll do those all back to back to back within one working set. This allows us to start the set with a slow tempo and better feel what muscles are doing the work. As we are then able to ensure that our back is doing the work, we can speed up the tempo, which allows us to drive our working muscles further into fatigue and failure. So there you go. Those are 2 tips you can use to better develop mind-muscle connection. We talked about it specifically with lat pull-downs, but you can use those techniques with any exercise. It's extended isometrics and then varying your tempo using the technique slow and go. If you have any questions and you would like a video made in this style for you, put your questions in the comment section below, or you can reach out to us on our website at www.brutalirongym.com.